Before we begin this video, you might already know there's a controversial character in this film that references a very real figure whose name I dare not even speak. You can look it up, it's easy to find. The purpose of the inclusion of his likeness in the movie is supposed to be thematic, the way myths and legends are born through lies, tall tales, or just misremembered completely, revisited and celebrated in different twisted ways. I totally understand people having a lot of thoughts about this. I recorded this whole review before I found that out. So I guess I just wanted to let you guys know that in this review, I will not be talking about or discussing that topic at all. And without further ado, let's get on with the review. Hey guys, so I just got back from watching Danny Boyle's and Alex Garland's 28 Years Later. Now by the end of that movie, I was pumped and eager and excited to see more out of this world. This is the beginning of a new trilogy, so a kind of a start of a new saga, and this film kind of explores some very interesting questions. We follow this 12-year-old kid named Spike. He lives in this community that's gotten used to living in this world full of the infected and different threats all around. And they have this gated community and these traditions where 15, 16-year-olds will kind of go out on pilgrimage. They'll go out beyond the gates into the wildlands, and basically they'll have to survive and prove that they have become a man, kind of a rite of passage. The thing is, a lot of people make it, and a lot of people don't. There's a whole graveyard right next to the gate to kind of remind everyone of what's outside the gates. Now this kid Spike, he's 12 years old. The movie doesn't really fully explain why he's being pushed into this at such a young age. I kind of felt like the opening sequence in the movie, the prologue, kind of hinted at that, but later I learned that that's not exactly the case, and I'll get into that later. So Spike heads out with his father to kind of guide him and to kind of help show him the ropes. So he gets a couple of kills, he goes through some things out there, and then he makes it back. However, when he makes it back, there's a party, and they're celebrating his return. Everyone's cheering them on, and his father is just living it up, drink in hand, just going off telling these stories and tall tales about what all went on out there, and he's embellishing a bit. And even Spike, the kid, he's a little bit like, Dad, why are you lying? Why are you making up things that didn't really happen? And Jamie, the father, played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, he's just like, just go with it, just go with it. Then there becomes this growing sense of secrecy within the town between a lot of the characters and the people who are supposed to be closest to Spike. And so eventually, Spike gets fed up and he decides to go out on his own and find some answers for himself. There's a scene in the opening sequence of the movie where the father of the church is embracing this judgment day, and there's some interesting details that happen there, but what I wanted to talk about was the editing. It's very trippy. It can be confusing, but it seems very intentional, of course. It reminded me of the editing on another Alex Garland project, Sunshine, 2007, a movie about a group of scientists setting out into space to restart the sun, to keep the Earth from freezing over and all life as we know it from being extinguished. It was meant to portray something plot-related that had to do with space and time being manipulated in odd ways while the heroes are trying to make it through their scenario. It makes me think of how I felt with Mad Max Fury Road when I first saw that. The editing in the opening sequence of that movie threw me for a loop, and I felt like there was an interesting kind of wildness to the feeling that the editing gave me. This movie has a notable use of sudden loudness, which is something I've noticed in a lot of recent Alex Garland projects, from Civil War to Warfare. They can serve as sort of jump scares, and I found that it can be effective at times, if not just become a part of the movie's texture. There are sequences and montages throughout the movie that can kind of lean into feeling like a music video. I don't think the editing will be for everybody, but I dug it. And I liked some of the cultural connective tissues they were making, some of the parallels between the knights and the archers of the castles of old and the survivors and defenders of their community's current day. The kills in this movie all have a stylish flair, as if the creative duo behind this sat down and asked themselves, how do we make kills feel different in this movie? There are now these fat, sluggish, crawling zombies that you gotta watch out for. They're silent, they're disgusting, but they're also really sneaky. I really think everyone did a great job of acting in this movie. Aaron Taylor Johnson brings a more natural performance than I'm used to seeing in him, and he brings this sort of energy and spirit to his portions of the movie. And the kid, Spike, also does a really great job of portraying a kid who's forced to grow up too fast in a deadly world. He's forced to deal with situations and scenarios he sees and knows how a man should handle, and he's forced to step up, and he's willing to, whether or not he knows he's capable. The mother Isla's performance is gut-wrenching and bittersweet. Rafe Fiennes as the Dr. Kelso is such a show stealer. He's such a twisted sense of a gentleman and a brilliant man in the midst of the apocalypse. He serves as a great pivotal role in the overall arcing journey of this. Everyone felt authentic and very natural and brought a lot of color and a lot of unique emotion to their performances. There are sequences in this movie that are legitimately funny and actually had me and the whole theater laughing, chuckling, and giggling for a good bit. I actually didn't expect it at all, but I found myself welcoming it and its humor. It's situational and character-based, but there's something about it where it never drops this sense of unpredictability, without ever dropping that there's something that we can never quite trust, and neither us, the viewers, nor the characters ever drop this sense. It never quite lets go of that sense of danger. I especially liked how, as the movie progresses, the music starts to progressively feel like progressive rock, and I especially liked hearing that original John Murphy theme come in at the end there. I liked a lot of the scenarios, from the gas station, the sewers, the train, the bone tower, the abandoned house, the train, the soldier sequences. Okay, we are entering the spoiler segment of this video. If you do not want this movie spoiled for you, stop the video here, and I'd recommend either check the movie out yourself at this point or skip ahead to the final segment or final chapter. Alright, are you ready? So the train scene is kind of wild. We see that even the infected still have some human instincts, and that some human instincts just aren't overridden by the infection. So this is very fascinating, and there's a child that's apparently not infected, as the main characters say they're not. I don't know. As we've seen in 28 Weeks Later, you can carry the infection and not look infected. So that's going to be interesting now that they just dropped that child off back at the community, so let's see what happens there. That's going to be a very interesting seed to see sprout in the next film. Don't say that. That's going to be very interesting to see play out. There's this moment where I realized that the Alpha apparently has a sense of comedic timing. There's a character that we meet later on. He stands under this little ceiling hole. The Alpha is right above him. The Alpha reaches down, grabs his shoulder, reaches down and goes, waits. He waits for the guy to look down at the camera before being yoinked up. And I'm just sitting there like, okay, apparently it's so smart. It has a sense of comedic timing. That's just great. Oh man, the Alpha. The Alpha is crazy. The way they portray this thing, it's full frontal nudity, no regards, no shame, and the way the movie presents a lot of these infected, they're very just, I was gonna say natural, but I suppose the correct terminology would be supernatural, but there's something about the way they've evolved and have gotten used to living out in the wilderness as they are. They seem like a whole nother people, kind of like the Dark Seekers from I Am Legend. They feel kind of like that, and that's exactly what the Alphas act like. Imagine the Alpha Dark Seeker, but straight up zombie. Basically the same thing. There's basically what you got. These things are powerful. These things run on horsepower. These things will rip a head off of an elk or deer and will just hang it on a top branch of a tree just cuz. The bone tower sequence of the movie, that whole portion was so surprisingly moving and emotional, and I had no idea by the time we were watching Spike climb the bone tower and reach the summit by sunset. I had no idea we were going to be in for this kind of emotion when I started this film off. It was so weird. It was so twistedly wholesome. It was like pagan But it's fascinating. It's so fascinating to think about a world that's been overridden by creatures and the infected and the new kind of world order things are kind of moving into. But that's what it looks like, at least where this film takes place, because the film starts to hint as we progress further along and journey further along that there is a bigger world. There are different clans, there are different factions. We still don't know what all exactly is going on everywhere else. We're running into different kinds of people who are all kind of handling things in a different way, and even they don't even seem like they fully grasp the situation. They were just dropped in like everyone else, or, you know, the rest of their team. Everyone's got their own missions and things going on. No one knows what's going on with anyone else, so far as we see. And I think that's one of the things that makes the movie so fascinating to me. It makes me really eager to see the next installment. And that kind of leads me into talking about a very divisive element or character and scene in the movie. Throughout the trailers, there have been a lot of mentions and glimpses of this name. The name is Jimmy. When we finally see this character at the end of the movie, we realize Jimmy is not what we expected.
Wait, sit here.
Auntie, what's going on?
Jimmy, sit still, keep quiet, and do not move from this spot.
So the final scene is a bit divisive, to say the least, and I admit I found it to be a bit of a rogue element. However, I'm oddly eager and intrigued to see more out of this world, and just to kind of see what else is in these creators' heads. So we're met with this clan that looks like some weird, colorful jackasses you would see out of something like Dead Island 2. They start hopping and flipping and acrobating around with these strange improvised weapons that look like something straight out of Dead Rising, and they're doing and pulling all these Kill Bill-esque stylized kills as if this is a game to them, like they've been doing this for a long time and have made a living out of it. And it's all accompanied with this music that is simultaneously very left field and matches the chaotic tone of the film. Right when they jump in and they decide they're gonna start killing all the zombies, and all of a sudden it switches to this death metal, and it's a combination of a bunch of what the fuck? Okay, well, yeah, you know, if you saw it, you know what I'm talking about. I can totally see why people are divided on it, but personally, it was fun. It was weird, but I like this movie's weird. I think that's the best way I can put it. And like I said, I really like this movie's intensity and its kind of vicious tone. The editing and a lot of the way the movie was presented kind of hints to me that there's much more to come, and maybe we haven't seen what all the directors and writers really want to put on screen just yet. That's one of the reasons why I'm eager to see what's to come next. But that could just be me. If you've seen the film, what did you think about the sequence? And if you haven't seen the film, are you thinking about doing so? Leave it in the comments below, leave a like, and please subscribe if you enjoyed your time. We've got a lot of projects coming on the way, horror related. We've got Long Legs and a couple of other things, maybe even Smile coming pretty soon. Hopefully I gave you a good idea of what to expect without giving away too much, and hopefully you have a good time if you do choose to go see the movie. Thank you for watching my video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.